Hello everyone and welcome to Product is Life, your one-stop shop for anything and everything about product management. In today's video, I'll be talking about my biggest mistakes as a product manager over my almost a decade-long journey as a product manager. Now, there is a lot of content available online about how to become a product manager or what to do as a product manager, but this video will be your quick guide on what not to do as a product manager. So let's get started. Mistake number 1. Falling in love with my product. Now this is something that I'm sure has been a problem at some point of time with almost every product manager out there, irrespective of the number of years of experience they have had as a product manager. And I am no exception here. We as product managers are so much invested in our product, so passionate about our product, and at times there is this over-romanticizing of product management through phrases like a product manager is the CEO of the product, or your product is your baby. And it becomes a problem when we are so much in love with our product that we start becoming over defensive about it. Or you can say not being open to any negative feedback at all. We just consciously choose to turn a blind eye to all the shortcomings of our product and are just always highlighting only the good things. This hampers innovation and scope of improvement in our product, and we as product managers should learn to be more objective about our products and not to take things too personally when it comes to critical or negative feedback of the product. Second mistake is taking no feedback. This again, I am sure there are many product managers out there who can relate with it. There are so many products that are built in silos, taking almost no feedback from the end user or from other internal stakeholders, and at times even competitive review is not being done. While building such products, there is a lot of assumption going on the part of product manager, wherein we just assume that the user will behave a certain way. That's not how it usually works. You as product manager should always be looking for feedback, direct or indirect. Talk to your users, talk to your internal stakeholders from finance, sales, marketing, talk to your engineering and design team, explore competitive platforms, go through the social media comments about your product, or the Play Store and App Store comments on your app. Believe me, there is a lot of feedback available about every product, and you just need to be open to it. Now, having said that, please also note that don't take anything and everything that comes your way in the form of feedback. You need to learn the art of filtering the relevant feedback from the irrelevant. And this brings me to my next mistake, which is kind of the extreme opposite of not taking feedback. That is, not being able to say no enough, or in other words, saying yes to every product request that comes your way. And based on my experience, this is more of a problem during your initial years as a product manager, wherein you are probably nervous or even scared to put across your point of view to the senior leadership, and you just end up saying yes to every thought or every idea that comes from, let's say, your manager or your sales head or CEO at times. So learn to say no. If you feel that a certain request is invalid, then say so and reject it. Now, if you consider the last two mistakes I mentioned, that is taking no feedback and saying yes to everything, my learning is that you should be open to feedback, but at the same time, you should be assertive enough to reject some of the feedback or product requests. Because sometimes you do get a lot of silly requests from stakeholders. The next major mistake that I think I have done as a product manager is having no or very little documentation. There are times when we are just building products without documenting things properly. This is more of a problem in startup or smaller organizations where we always are in a firefighting mode, and under the disguise of execution speed or quickly iterating, we just are building things without any proper documentation and are just fixing it as more and more bugs are observed on production. And even if there is some documentation, the quality is very poor. In bigger organizations, there are anyways so many processes that there we have the problem of over documentation at times. But if I have to choose between no documentation and over documentation, I think I'll always choose over documentation as lesser of the two evils. And a very practical reason why I say this is a big problem is that when you are building products without documentation, then based on your rapport within the engineering team, probably you will be able to get away with it till the launch. But when things go wrong, and they will sooner or later, for example, if there is some bug in production, then everybody would be just pointing fingers, or they would need a scapegoat, which is usually the product manager. And during such times, if you have some proper product documentation, then it becomes a really indispensable tool for a product manager, both in terms of quickly resolving the issue as well as maintaining some accountability among the teams. Also, when you switch organizations and someone else takes over your product, then in the absence of any proper documentation, they will just be shooting in the dark, or they will have to spend too much time working with the engineering team to reverse understand the logic behind your product before making any subsequent improvements. That is just unprofessional on your part. And I think one last mistake worth highlighting is no proactive internal communication. The importance of communication within the teams or within your internal stakeholders is something that not many people would call out. But in a practical sense, this is really important. Now, understand that it doesn't matter how much planning we do on the strategy, roadmap, or sprint management. Every once in a while, things will go wrong eventually. For example, let's say a release getting delayed. And I think the problem is when we as product managers have this unrealistic hope or expectation that things will somehow just magically work out and you will be able to release the product on time. And thus, we just keep sitting on this update till the very last moment. But as we all know, that's rarely the case. And believe me, be it your manager, your head of product, CEO, whoever, they all are fine with any reasonable delays as long as there is a timely communication or heads up about the same and some logical explanation about the root cause of the delay. For example, if you had earlier, let's say, given a timeline of 4 weeks for releasing a certain product, and maybe 2 weeks down the line, you start getting a sense that you may not be able to meet the timeline, then it is best to just send it out as a heads up that there may be a certain delay or some roadblock due to whatsoever reason, and be as transparent and honest as possible. Don't try to unnecessarily hide things. The problem happens when your boss is expecting a release 2 days from now and then you come and say that it is not possible. That is when people lose their calm and then you are in trouble. And of course, I'm not saying that we should not take timeline seriously. Of course, you should put in all the effort to meet whatever timeline you have committed. But once you are sure that that's not gonna be the case, then you should just proactively start communicating the same so that others can manage their expectations with their stakeholders as well. Because at the end of the day, most of us are just employees and everyone has someone senior to report to. So your sales counterpart or your marketing counterpart would have their own updates to give to their seniors. So you not being able to deliver the product on time is still okay, but you just sitting on that messaging till the last moment, that is the bigger problem. So that covers some of my biggest mistakes as a product manager, which now over a period of time, I consider more as learnings rather than mistakes. Hope you also got to learn something from my mistakes. Please like and share this video if you found it helpful, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.